Good afternoon and welcome to a very unusual on-the-road edition of Once a Fortnight. So Once a Fortnight is, as you know, a video diary of life behind the scenes at the Endangered Alphabets. And so I thought I would show you a different aspect of life behind the scenes. Yes, there's another logging truck. I am, in fact, driving south from Seattle, taking the long way around through the Olympic Peninsula and going down to do 2 talks at colleges in Oregon, and also to meet up with some representatives of the Cow Creek Band of the Umpqua Nation to talk about language revitalization. And as I drive along Route 101 through this extraordinary landscape here on the edges of a rainforest, in fact, I am, of course, thinking all the time about the endangered alphabets. And I've been thinking about what are my goals for 2023. And driving is great for thinking. Sometimes I do dictation, sometimes I scribble notes very dangerously on a piece of paper or at the back of an envelope. Right now, we're doing it in video form. So, the aim of the Endangered Alphabets is to play a major part, even a leading part, in identifying the whole issue of script loss and the importance to a culture of its script. And then, having identified that, to bring it to the world's attention and to consider various ways forward, strategies, tactics, and that's in fact what I've been doing. Is I've been driving through this forest. One of the things that I think is a great way to illustrate the relationship between a script and its culture of origin is through calligraphy. So many endangered alphabets don't have a calligraphic tradition because so few people are using them. But some are being tribal center, interesting. But some are being revitalized in this particularly interesting artistic way. And so one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to take on a design intern whose job is to prepare an exhibition, whoops, there's a cop, of calligraphy in minority scripts by people from those traditions. And these might be still images, they might be animations, they might be video. And I want to have that all ready for release on Indigenous Peoples Day in October 2023. Because one of the other things that I'm doing is I'm working with the Abenaki, the ancestral people of Vermont, to introduce curricular materials into Vermont schools about the Abenaki, who are currently barely, if at all, known, let alone taught in Vermont schools. And the idea is that schools in Vermont, instead of closing on that day, would actually stay open and have curricular activities devoted to the indigenous people of our region. I'm also really interested in typography, because when type is developed, especially for minority scripts, there's always a danger that it's a kind of a one typeface fits all version that doesn't take into account the fact that the very visual look of a type has been developed collectively over the period of time and over many changes by that community and as an expression of that community. And so I want to have a lecture by a typographer who has developed a font for a minority script, and in doing so has really done their homework to try and make sure that the font is consonant with and expressive of the aesthetic traditions, the technological traditions, everything about a culture that in fact that a script represents. Clearly we're going through serious rainforest here. This is wonderful. Also, as part of the same activity in October, I want to have two other sort of community organization activities. One of them would be an award ceremony, and it would be an award for local or national governments that have really gone out of their way to try and support and promote indigenous writing systems. And then the other would be a presentation by an individual, or more likely a group, that is working to reintroduce and revitalize their traditional writing system, or to promote a new one that has been created specifically for that community. So that is the glimpse behind the scenes of the endangered alphabets for this particular fortnight. It never stops. I love being in situations where I am free to be as creative with my mind as I am with my hands. And this is how we plan the way ahead. See you next time.